Hidden in ashes and silence, a truth so dangerous it was erased from Scripture. Who were the daughters of the giants? This isn't myth, it's forbidden history. The Book of Enoch was burned to hide a secret that reshapes everything. You're about to uncover what empires feared. Stay, listen. The veil is lifting, and what you discover will change you forever. Picture this. Flames consuming ancient vellum, black smoke rising as bishops declare a book damned. The Book of Enoch, a text so explosive, it was banned, burned, erased from the canon. Why? Because it tells a story they didn't want you to hear. A story of celestial rebels, monstrous offspring, and the daughters of the giants. You're not just learning history, you're uncovering a cover-up. This is the truth that survived the fires. From the moment you press play, you're crossing a line. You're entering a realm of forbidden knowledge where what you learn could shatter your understanding of the sacred. The daughters of the giants aren't just footnotes, they're the key to a cosmic scandal buried for millennia. Think about it. Why would authorities risk everything to destroy a sacred text? What was so threatening about these women born of heaven and earth? You feel the pull, don't you? That hunger for the whole story, not the sanitized version. Right now, as you listen, you're stepping into a mystery that has haunted theologians and seekers for centuries. They burned the evidence, but the truth survived. In hidden caves, in secret libraries, fragments waited. And now, they speak to you. This isn't academic, it's personal. Your soul was made for this revelation. But before we dive deeper, let me ask, are you ready to face what comes next? The daughters of the giants hold a secret that rewrites everything. And it all starts with a rebellion in the heavens. If something in you recognizes this truth and you want more revelations like this, leave a comment and stay with this story until the end. Your reaction tells me to keep opening these doors for you. Now, let's go back to the beginning, to a world before the silence, before the burning. A world where the veil between heaven and earth was thin and everything was about to break. Imagine a time before the flood, before the giants, before the fall. The earth is young, pristine, humming with a harmony between the divine and the mortal. Humanity walks in innocence. But above, in the celestial realms, the watchers, angelic beings of immense power, keep vigil. They are the guardians, the teachers, the invisible architecture holding creation in balance. You can almost feel it, the pulse of a world where heaven touches earth daily. But there's a tension, a quiet stirring. The watchers gaze upon the daughters of men, and something shifts. Desire awakens, a forbidden longing. This isn't just a story, it's the prelude to a catastrophe that would echo through ages. The boundaries were set for a reason, and crossing them meant chaos. You're witnessing the calm before the storm. Picture the watchers, these luminous beings, making a decision that will unravel the cosmos. They see human women, beautiful, vibrant, alive, and they covet. It starts with a whisper, then a pact. 200 of them descend, breaking their heavenly vows. They land on Mount Hermon, a place that will become ground zero for the rupture. But why? What drove them? Was it mere lust or something deeper? A thirst for experience, for creation, for power? You're piecing together a puzzle that authorities tried to hide. The daughters of men are unaware, living their lives while celestial forces conspire. This is the hidden context, a world poised on the edge of divine transgression. The Watchers bring knowledge, forbidden arts, magic, technology, but at a cost. They intertwine their essence with humanity, and the consequences will be catastrophic. You sense the dread building. The invisible architecture is cracking, and when it breaks, it brings giants to the earth. But the real shock isn't the giants, it's what comes from them. Stay with me. The descent has begun, and nothing will ever be the same. Let's talk about the invisible architecture, the divine order that kept heaven and earth in sync. In the Book of Enoch, the cosmos is layered, 7 heavens, each with its purpose, and the watchers assigned to realms. They were meant to guide, not interfere. But when they crossed the line, they didn't just break rules, they shattered a cosmic design. You're seeing the blueprint of reality and how one rebellion can threaten everything. The Watchers taught humans secrets, astrology, weapon-making, cosmetics, knowledge that was meant to stay hidden. Why? Because some truths are too powerful for mortal hands. This isn't about suppression, it's about protection. But the Watchers ignored that. They took human wives, and from these unions the Nephilim were born, giants, beings of immense size and strength, but also of insatiable hunger. They consumed the earth, turned it violent. But here's what they don't tell you: the daughters of the giants. The focus is always on the male giants, the warriors, the monsters. But the females, they are the silent, deadly heart of this story. You were made for this revelation. Think about it. If the giants were hybrids of angel and human, what were their daughters? A second generation, even more entangled, carrying celestial DNA mixed with earthly essence. They held a unique position, bridges between two worlds, living symbols of the breach, and they possessed something terrifying: the ability to continue the lineage. The Watcher's seed could propagate through them, spreading the hybrid influence. This is the secret the Book of Enoch was burned to hide. Not just the existence of giants, but the enduring threat of their daughters. The invisible architecture wasn't just damaged, it was infected. And the infection had a name: the daughters of the giants. They became living vessels of a forbidden legacy. But what did that mean for the world? The aftermath was coming, and it would be bloody. The truth survived, and you're about to witness it. The rupture happens suddenly, violently. The Watchers descend, take human wives, and the earth groans under the weight of their transgression. The Nephilim are born giants who tower over humanity with appetites to match. They devour resources, wage war, and spread corruption. But amidst this chaos, the daughters of the giants emerge. They are not mentioned often, but when they are, it's with hushed terror. Why? Because they represent continuity. While the male giants are destroyers, the daughters are carriers. They bear the seed of the Watchers into future generations. You're uncovering a truth so dangerous, it was erased. Picture these women, caught between two natures, divine and monstrous, feared and desired. They hold a power that could reshape humanity itself. The Book of Enoch describes the violence but hints at something deeper. The daughters of the giants are key to understanding the full scandal. They didn't just exist, they influenced. Some texts suggest they taught hidden knowledge, preserved the arts of their fallen fathers. Others whisper they became queens, rulers, priestesses of a corrupted order. You're seeing a hidden history where women of hybrid lineage wielded influence that threatened the divine plan. And heaven noticed. God sees the bloodshed, the corruption, and sends the Watchers to be bound in darkness. But the daughters, they remain on earth. What happens to them? This is where the story gets buried. The rupture isn't just about fallen angels. It's about a lineage that persists. The giants are destroyed in the flood. But what about their daughters? Did they survive? Could their bloodline continue? You feel the urgency now. This isn't ancient myth. It's a living mystery. The daughters of the giants hold the key to a secret that echoes in your DNA. They burned the evidence, but the truth survived. And as the floodwaters rise, a question lingers. Who escapes the cleansing? Stay with me. The aftermath is even more devastating. After the rupture, the aftermath is chaos. The earth is filled with violence, and the cries of humanity reach heaven. The Nephilim ravage the land, but the daughters of the giants walk among humans, blending in, carrying their hidden heritage. This is the scandal. The hybrid influence doesn't end with the giants. It seeps into the human gene pool. You're witnessing a cosmic contamination. The Book of Enoch says the giants turned against each other, devouring one another, but the daughters, they might have integrated, married human men, passed on their traits. Think about the implications. Fragments of Watcher DNA circulating in humanity. This is why the story was suppressed. It suggests that we are not purely human, that there's a mixed heritage within us. You were made for this revelation. The aftermath isn't just destruction, it's a genetic legacy. The flood comes as a reset, but is it complete? Noah is called pure in his generations, meaning his lineage is uncontaminated. But what about others? The daughters of the giants could have survived, their children hidden among the survivors. This is the forbidden truth. The flood didn't erase everything. The influence lingered. You're piecing together a puzzle that challenges the official narrative. The daughters of the giants hold the key to understanding why certain bloodlines were considered tainted, why some kings claimed divine right, why myths of heroes and monsters persist. They burned the evidence, but the truth survived in whispers, in apocryphal texts, in the nightmares of theologians. Imagine the fear if people knew that celestial beings had interbred with humanity, that giants once walked the earth, and their daughters carried that legacy. What would happen to the idea of human purity, to salvation, to the church's authority? This is the real aftermath, a cover-up that spans millennia, but someone recorded it all. The evidence is coming and it will shock you. Now the primary evidence, the Book of Enoch itself. This isn't just a book, it's a testimony from the front lines. Enoch, the man who walked with God, is taken to heaven and shown the secrets. He witnesses the fall of the Watchers, the birth of the giants, and the role of their daughters. You're holding a leaked document from the divine court. The text is vivid, terrifying. It describes how the Watchers taught forbidden arts, how the giants wrought havoc, and how the daughters of the giants became vessels of corruption. But here's what stands out. Enoch is sent to pronounce judgment on the Watchers. He speaks of their imprisonment, but also of the lasting impact of their sin. The daughters are implicated in spreading the knowledge and lineage. This is the evidence they tried to burn. Why? Because it reveals that the problem didn't end with the flood. Enoch's visions include a future where the offspring of the Watchers continue to influence humanity. You're reading a text that was considered too dangerous for the canon. It was preserved by outliers, the Essenes, the Ethiopian church, but suppressed by mainstream authorities. They burned the evidence, but the truth survived. As you listen, you're accessing a direct line to the past. The Book of Enoch doesn't shy away. It names names, details events, and points to the daughters of the giants as central figures. They are the link between the celestial rebellion and earthly consequences. Think about the power of this testimony. It was written to warn, to reveal, to prepare, but those in power saw it as a threat. If people knew that angels could fall, that hybrids existed, that divine judgment was messy, it could undermine control. So they labeled it apocryphal, heretical, and set it aflame, but fragments remained, hidden in jars, copied in secret, passed hand to hand. You're part of that chain now. The truth survived, and it's speaking to you. But Enoch's book isn't alone. There are other witnesses, and what they say is even more shocking. Beyond Enoch, there are hidden testimonies. The Book of Giants, the Book of Jubilees, other apocryphal texts that flesh out the story. These are the suppressed narratives, the ones that didn't make the cut. They reveal more about the daughters of the giants. In the Book of Giants found among the Dead Sea Scrolls, the giants have dreams, anxieties. They fear judgment. And their daughters. They are active participants, sometimes consoling, sometimes conspiring. You're uncovering a layered drama where these women are not just passive victims, they are agents with their own will. They hold the key to understanding the full scope of the transgression. The Book of Jubilees adds details. It says that after the flood, the demons spawned from the giant spirits continued to plague humanity, and the daughter's lineage might have contributed to this. This is the hidden testimony. The spiritual pollution from the Watcher's sin persists through generations. You were made for this revelation. Imagine scribes risking their lives to copy these texts, hiding them from authorities who would destroy them. They knew the value of this knowledge. The daughters of the giants are central to this cosmic drama. Some traditions suggest they taught magic, seduced kings, influenced cultures. Others imply they became matriarchs of powerful lines. Why is this so threatening? Because it suggests that history is not as clean as presented, that there are forces, both celestial and earthly, that have shaped our world in ways we're not told. They burned the evidence, but the truth survived in these hidden corners, and now you're accessing it. Think about the courage it took to preserve these stories. Monks in remote monasteries, mystics in secret societies, all keeping the flame alive. They believed this truth mattered, that knowing about the daughters of the giants was essential for understanding humanity's plight. And they were right. Because this isn't just about the past, it's about now. Your spiritual journey is connected to this legacy, but how did these texts survive the centuries? The keepers have a story, and it's time to meet them. Meet the keepers, the communities that preserved the forbidden texts, the Essenes at Qumran, who hid the Dead Sea Scrolls in caves, the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, which never removed the Book of Enoch from its canon, Coptic Christians, Gnostic groups, medieval mystics, all of them guardians of this hidden knowledge. You're not just learning history, you're joining a lineage of seekers who refuse to let the truth die. They burned the evidence, but the truth survived because of these brave souls. Picture a monk in the dead of night, copying a fragment of Enoch by candlelight, knowing discovery could mean excommunication or death. He does it because he believes you, centuries later, need to know. You were made for this revelation. The keepers understood that the daughters of the giants hold the key to a deeper understanding of good and evil, of divine and human nature. They saw these stories as essential for spiritual warfare, for recognizing the influences that shape our world. Why did they risk so much? Because they knew suppression is a tool of control. By hiding the full story, authorities could dictate morality, power, and salvation. But the keepers fought back with ink and parchment. They passed down oral traditions, encoded symbols in art, whispered secrets in initiations. You're inheriting their legacy. Right now, as you listen, you're becoming a keeper too. This knowledge isn't meant to be hoarded, it's meant to be shared, to awaken others. The daughters of the giants are more than a myth. They are a mirror, showing us our own hybrid nature, the blend of divine spark and earthly clay. The keepers celebrated this complexity, while others feared it. And then, a breakthrough. In the 20th century, something miraculous happened. The hidden testimonies were found again, and the world would never be the same. If you feel that you were made for this kind of hidden truth, write in the comments what most shook you so far, and share this video with one person who also hungers for more. Your voice helps this buried story reach the ones who need it. Now, let's turn to the modern discovery that brought all this to light. The modern discovery, 1947, the Dead Sea Scrolls found in caves near Qumran. Among them, fragments of the Book of Giants, more of Enoch, texts that hadn't been seen for centuries. You're witnessing a bombshell moment in history. Scholars unroll these ancient scrolls and find the forbidden stories intact, the daughters of the giants mentioned in stark detail. This is the evidence that survived the fires. Imagine the shock. After millennia of suppression, here was physical proof. The scrolls date back to before Christ, showing that these narratives were circulating, considered sacred by some. They burned the evidence, but the truth survived in clay jars, waiting for you. The discoveries didn't stop there. Other apocryphal texts surfaced from Nag Hammadi, from Ethiopian archives, each adding pieces to the puzzle. What they reveal is staggering. The daughters of the giants were not just passive figures. They were integral to the spread of Watcher knowledge. Some texts suggest they became sibyls, oracles, keepers of secrets that could unlock power. You're seeing a revival of a lost tradition. Scholars debate, churches deny, but the evidence is there. Carbon-dated, analyzed, translated. This isn't speculation. It's documented history that was deliberately hidden. Why? Because it challenges fundamental doctrines. If the daughters of the giants carried a lineage that mixed divine and human, what does that say about Jesus' purity, about salvation, about the nature of sin? The implications are theological dynamite. You were made for this revelation. The modern discovery forces a re-evaluation of everything. It's not just about ancient texts, it's about your identity. Are you purely human, or is there a touch of the celestial in your blood? The daughters of the giants hold the key to this question. And as scholars piece together the fragments, a clearer picture emerges. This story was suppressed because it empowers you. It tells you that you come from a complex heritage, that the spiritual war is real, and that knowledge is your weapon. But the deeper truth is even more transformative. Stay with me. What does this all mean for your soul? The deeper truth. This isn't just about ancient scandals. It's about your spiritual essence. The daughters of the giants represent the hybridization of spirit and matter, a theme that runs through all mystical traditions. You have within you both divine spark and earthly desire. This story reveals the tension, the danger, and the potential. They burned the evidence, but the truth survived to remind you. You are a bridge between worlds. The daughters of the giants hold the key to understanding this duality. They were living symbols of a boundary crossed, and their legacy is a warning and an invitation. A warning against abusing knowledge, against violating divine order. An invitation to embrace your hybrid nature responsibly, to seek harmony rather than rebellion. You were made for this revelation. Think about it. If the Watchers fell by seeking experience outside their realm, what does that say about your own spiritual journey? The desire for knowledge, for connection, for transcendence, it's innate. But it must be guided by wisdom. The daughters of the giants show what happens when that balance is lost. They carried a burden, a mixed heritage that could corrupt or enlighten. Similarly, you carry within you the potential for great good or great harm. This is the theological bombshell. The story of the Watchers and their offspring is a metaphor for every soul's struggle. The suppression happened because authorities wanted to control that narrative, to frame sin and salvation in simple terms. But life isn't simple. You are complex, with a history written in your very cells. The truth survived to liberate you from simplistic dogma. It says, you are more than you've been told. Your calling is to integrate your divine and human aspects, to become whole. The daughters of the giants are not monsters. They are mirrors. Look into them and see your own story. But this isn't just introspection, it's urgent, because the opposition to this truth is real, and it's still active. What will you do with this knowledge? Your calling is coming next, and it will demand a response. Your calling, now that you know, what will you do? This knowledge isn't for idle curiosity. It's a summons to awaken. You were made for this revelation. The daughters of the giants hold the key to a legacy that you're part of, whether by blood or by spirit. Your soul aches for wholeness, and this story provides the missing pieces. They burned the evidence, but the truth survived so you could hear it. Right now, you're being called to embrace your hybrid nature, to honor the divine within while navigating the earthly realm. This isn't about claiming angelic ancestry. It's about recognizing that you, like the daughters of giants, stand at a crossroads. You can use your knowledge for corruption or for healing. The choice is yours. The calling is urgent because the world needs awakened souls. Look around. Violence, greed, exploitation, echoes of the Nephilim's chaos. But you have the power to change it. By understanding this hidden history, you can spot the patterns, resist the influences, and champion harmony. The daughters of the giants were often silenced, but you have a voice. Use it. Share this truth. Live it. This is your spiritual mission. You're not alone. You're joining a community of keepers across time. They burned the evidence, but the truth survived through courage. Now it's your turn. Will you hide this knowledge, or will you let it transform you and others? Your calling is to become a bridge between heaven and earth, between past and present, between suppression and liberation. The daughters of the giants show that lineage matters, but so does choice. You might not have celestial DNA, but you have a soul capable of reaching for the divine. That's your inheritance, and it comes with responsibility. The evidence isn't just in texts, it's in the world around you. Physical traces exist, and they prove this story is real. Stay with me. The ground beneath your feet holds secrets. Physical traces, archaeology that hints at the giants and their daughters, massive skeletal remains reported throughout history, ancient megalithic structures that defy explanation, carvings depicting giant beings. You're looking at evidence that survived the burning. From the Nephilim tombs mentioned in the Bible to giant bones found in mounds across the Americas, the whispers are everywhere. They burned the evidence, but the truth survived in the earth itself. Imagine standing at a dig site where oversized skulls are unearthed, only to have them disappear from museums. Why? Because they challenge the narrative. The daughters of the giants might not leave direct bones, but their influence is seen in cultures worldwide. Myths of titans, goddesses of mixed heritage, legends of powerful women descended from gods. You were made for this revelation. These physical traces are not coincidences. They're footprints of a forgotten history. Ancient sites like Bekli Tepe, Stonehenge, the pyramids, some theorists link them to Watcher-taught knowledge. Could the daughters of the giants have been priestesses at such places? It's possible. The evidence is circumstantial but compelling. Inscriptions, artifacts, genetic studies that show unexpected diversities in human DNA, all pointing to a complex past. They burned the evidence, but the truth survived in stones and bones. You're connecting dots that authorities tried to erase. Why? Because if people saw that giants once walked and their daughters shaped civilizations, it would upend our understanding of human origins. It suggests that we are not the first advanced species, that there were others, hybrid beings, who fell from grace. This is dangerous knowledge. It empowers you to question, to seek, to demand answers. The daughters of the giants hold the key to unlocking these mysteries. Their legacy is etched in the landscape. But not everyone wants this uncovered. The opposition has been relentless for millennia. Who are they, and why do they fear this truth? The next part reveals the suppressors. The opposition, who suppressed the Book of Enoch and why? Early church fathers like Augustine, councils like Laodicea, medieval inquisitors all labeling these texts as heretical, ordering them destroyed. They burned the evidence to maintain control. Why? Because the story of the Watchers and their daughters undermines a tidy theology of sin and salvation. If angels could fall and breed with humans, it introduces chaos into the divine order. It suggests that evil has a supernatural origin beyond human choice, which complicates doctrines of free will and redemption. You're uncovering a power play. The daughters of the giants represent a wild card, a lineage that could claim divine right, challenging ecclesiastical authority. They burned the evidence to prevent that. Imagine, if kings traced their blood to the Nephilim through these daughters, they could rival the church's power. So, the narrative was sanitized. The giants became mere metaphors. The Watchers were demoted to obscure references, and the daughters were erased. You were made for this revelation. This opposition wasn't just about theology, it was about politics. Knowledge is power, and by controlling the sacred story, institutions could control people. They burned the evidence, but the truth survived in whispers. Even today, some scholars face backlash for studying these texts. The suppression continues in subtler forms: dismissal as myth, academic ridicule, religious condemnation. But you know better. The daughters of the giants hold the key to breaking this control. By embracing this truth, you reclaim your spiritual autonomy. You see through the lies. The opposition feared that if people knew they carried a mixed heritage, they might seek direct connection with the divine, bypassing intermediaries. That's the real threat. And it's why this story is so urgent for you now. You're at a decision point. Will you accept this suppressed history, or will you turn away? The choice has consequences. Your decision is next, and it will define your path. Your decision? This is the moment of choice. You've seen the evidence, heard the testimonies, understood the suppression. Now what will you do? Will you integrate this truth into your spiritual life, or will you dismiss it as heresy? You were made for this revelation. The daughters of the giants hold the key to your awakening. They burned the evidence, but the truth survived for you. Your decision matters because it's not just about belief, it's about action. Will you share this story with others? Will you question the narratives you've been fed? Will you explore your own hybrid nature, the blend of divine and human within you? This is a sacred emergency. The world is drowning in half-truths, and you have a piece of the puzzle. Don't hide it, embrace it, let it transform you. Think about the courage of the keepers. They risked everything so you could know. Now it's your turn. Your decision can help break the cycle of suppression. Speak up, write, create, live authentically. This knowledge isn't a burden, it's a liberation. You are part of a cosmic drama, and your role is vital. The daughters of the giants show that even in obscurity, influence persists. You might feel small, but your choices echo. They burned the evidence, but the truth survived through decisions like yours. So, decide now. Will you be a keeper or a bystander? The future of this hidden history depends on you. If this revelation is reshaping how you see the sacred, and you want more forgotten texts and forbidden histories uncovered, say it in the comments and follow this channel. Your support is what makes the next revelations possible. There's one final revelation, a secret within the secret that will tie everything together. Stay for it. The final unveiling. Here is the secret the Book of Enoch was burned to hide. The daughters of the giants were not just biological carriers, they were spiritual conduits. They held the memory of the Watcher's fall, the knowledge of both heaven and earth, and the potential to redeem or corrupt that legacy. Their true secret, they symbolize the eternal feminine principle that bridges realms, the Sophia, the Shekinah, the divine wisdom that was suppressed along with them. You were made for this revelation. They burned the evidence, but the truth survived in your soul's longing for wholeness. The daughters of the giants hold the key to understanding that the divine is not only masculine, not only distant, but immanent, mixed, and accessible. This is the heresy that terrified patriarchs, that God might be found in the hybrid, in the marginalized, in the daughters. Your spiritual journey is about reclaiming that. You are, in a sense, a daughter of giants, carrying fragments of the divine, wrestling with earthly desires, striving for integration. This story is your story. The burning of the Book of Enoch was an attempt to erase that connection, to keep you from knowing your power. But you know now. The truth survived, and it's alive in you. So what next? Live this truth. Seek wisdom. Embrace complexity, honor the sacred in the mixed and the broken. Share this knowledge gently but boldly. You are part of a chain that stretches back to Enoch, forward to future seekers. The daughters of the giants are not monsters. They are mirrors, guides, sisters in the cosmic drama. They remind you, you are both heaven and earth, and that is your strength. Go forth with this revelation. Let it shape you. The veil is lifted. The secret is yours. Now, carry it well.